And now, our next speaker for today is Mr. Charles Dennison, alternative species South African coffee grower. Yeah, please put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Mr. Charles Dennison. Improve efficiency and productivity of farmers with data and technology. And before he takes over, a very quick introduction about Mr. Charles is a consultant, researcher, and a grower of Coffea racemosa, one of the world's rarest coffee species. And from his early days, he has focused on coffee, developing business and models of smallholder coffees and so on. He has developed a passion for bridging the gap between coffee farmers and consumers. So, hearty welcome to you, Mr. Dennison. It's all yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here in India, in a country that has fascinated me since I was a young boy. I think part of my fascination with India comes from growing up in Durban, South Africa, where I'm told we have the largest percentage of people with Indian heritage outside of India. But mostly because of your coffee and the way that it is nearly all grown under shade. This has been such an inspiration for me when I travel to consulting countries around the world and I speak about how Indian coffee is grown under shade. This is something to be very proud of as a country. I'd like to thank in particular Dr. Mandapa and the Coffee Board, Akshay and Kamal from South Indian Coffee Company, who had the passion and persistence to bring me out. And of course, Dr. Aaron Davis from Kew Gardens, who has really brought to the world the attention and the importance of alternative species of coffee. Today, we'll be looking at some practical, real-life examples of data and technology that you, as the farmers, can use to improve your yield, your quality, and of course, income. I'll be sharing some examples of the simple and sometimes free solutions that are designed to enable you as farmers. From the Internet of Things to the latest in plant breeding innovation, this talk will look at current progress and farming that will be happening in the near future, if not already. My family have 2 farms in South Africa, and we grow the wild coffee species, Coffea racemosa. My personal coffee story started off in Switzerland, where I was doing my MBA. Desperate to return back from the cold mountains of Europe to the continent of my birth, I completed my thesis on developing business models for smallholder coffee farmers in Zambia. I lived in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, trading coffee and working with farmers. And after a few years, I returned home to South Africa and realized we had our very own native coffee species growing there. Today, I run a quality lab for the 3 of the biggest coffee chains in Africa. I'm a farm-level consultant, and we farm racemosa as well as Arabica, and we also export. We currently farm nearly all the non-wild racemosa that exists in the world. We have about 4,000 trees, of which maybe 2,000 are currently producing beans. We are told that we can maybe produce 200 grams per tree, but we are currently only getting about 50 grams per tree. And that is why we market our coffee as the world's rarest coffee. It's a little bit cheeky, but we think it's true. These are the coastal sand forests where we find Arabica growing naturally in the natural environment. After it was identified in the 1800s, it was farmed on a relatively large commercial scale by the Portuguese in Mozambique. They farmed what we now know as 2 species, racemosa and zangubaria. In the 1970s, however, those farms and their records were all but destroyed when the Portuguese settlers were evicted from Mozambique virtually overnight. A civil war ensued, and it's left us with very little data on growing racemosa. When we started exploring Mozambique in the early days, we had some close calls with landmines. Because we are essentially farming a new crop with little to no recorded information about it, from yield to nutritional requirements to disease and even age of maturity, we have had to adapt modern techniques, and we use data and technology as much as we can to give us a bit of a start. Although not part of data and technology, I had to show you a picture of our giraffe on the farm. The giraffe is called Ndlulamiti, and Ndlulamiti loves to eat the very expensive Coffea racemosa. One of my favorite coffee quotes of all time is from the legendary coffee icon, George Howell, who said, "In terms of our collective knowledge of coffee, we are barely out of childhood." We have so much to learn in coffee agriculture and so much to adapt to not only thrive as coffee farmers, but actually to survive as farmers. Let us not forget, only 400 years ago, there was not even an English or Kannada word for coffee, now one of the most common words in the world. Farmers are no longer solely reliant on intuition and generational experience alone, but are now empowered and aided by data-driven insights and affordable, practical technologies. As for farming in the near future, what will it look like? Will farms be bigger? Probably. Will weather be more unpredictable? Almost certainly. Will technologies such as soil sensors, drones, AI, blockchain, and robotics aid farmers and make our lives more efficient? It's already happening. How do we convince the growing younger generation to pursue careers in agriculture, encouraging them away from urbanization? How do we ensure we don't end up like the Kodak and Nokias of the agricultural world, but rather the innovators and adapters? Change is good, but also inevitable. And as farmers, I think we know this best. In India, especially in this region, you have had a head start in technology. Modern retail coffee consumption in India began with technology. So I was told by my taxi driver yesterday, with Cafe Coffee Day beginning here in Bengaluru as an internet cafe serving coffee. However, because of your brilliant farming techniques utilizing shade and intercropping, a lot of the technology that has been spoken about and that we see is not relevant. For example, this was last month in Zambia. This is a farm of 5,000 acres, all under center pivot irrigation. Or, as we have seen in the last few talks, the Brazilian farming with mechanized harvesters. At the moment, not really adapted to your farming, although there are other alternatives. Just as a disclaimer, I have no affiliation to any of the companies that I mention or use as examples in this presentation. Okay, let's look at the problems. One of our biggest future challenges of coffee comes down to the basic economic principles of supply and demand. We have an increasing demand for coffee. We have a decreasing yield outside of the big three, and we have a decreasing amount of land that is suitable to growing coffee. However, it is not all doom and gloom. And as Vern Long, the CEO of World Coffee Research, states, "As a scientist, I'm an eternal optimist, and I think we can innovate our way out of this mess." From this next image, we can see how drastic land suitability is changing. And while some regions will become more suitable to growing coffee, many of the established regions will not. India, if we focus a little bit here, will not avoid this problem either. Here's the prediction showing how there's increasing suitability in certain regions, especially up north, but not really here in the south. In terms of yield per hectare, I do most of my work in Africa. Here, we can see how yield has not increased in Africa since the 1960s. Clearly, not a great indicator of my consulting skills. As a planet, we are fast running out of land to plant more. We need to use technology to make us better farmers and to increase our yield with the land that we have. Brazil and Vietnam are leading the way in yield per hectare, of course, under very different growing and different farming conditions to the rest of the world. What does this leave us with? Our next section is about consolidation, and there's a massive consolidation of world coffee production. We've seen consolidation in big tech, and we've seen consolidation of coffee companies with large acquisitions, especially from JAB Holding, Coca-Cola, and Nestle, and even big tech getting involved in coffee. But where the most interesting and concerning consolidation is taking place is at production level. Today, we drink over 75% of our coffee from just 5 countries. Most of these increases in production and yield have come from just 3 countries, Brazil, Vietnam, and Colombia. and all of them have invested heavily in technology at farm level as well as genetic level. The final problem we will look at is how, if we don't focus on becoming better and more conscientious farmers using technology, technology will come for us in the form of synthetic or beanless coffee. This is a strange one, as it's been punted as a solution, but is also a threat to coffee as we know it. Atomo, Minus, STEM, and Northern Wonder are all startups with huge funding and claim to have reverse engineered the coffee bean to create a beanless coffee that delivers the same conventional taste without compromising the planet. They use a variety of products from upcycled date seeds and a blend of other ingredients such as grape, chicory, and tea-derived caffeine. These products are roasted and brewed just like conventional coffee, but the difference, it's controversially claimed to be more sustainable, using 93% less carbon emissions and 94% less water. STEM is an interesting one because they use a cellular material from coffee waste to produce their coffee, using the waste of grinds and the waste of the cherry to extract more value. So let us have a look at the solutions. While we focus a lot on new technologies, the true magic lies in data. Data can drive farmer insights and guide on planting decisions, pest management, and of course harvesting schedules. One of the greatest examples I have of a farmer using data was experienced at a coffee farm in South Africa, which is really on the verge of where we should be growing coffee. At this farm, which is far out of the so-called bean belt, we grow Arabica at 150 meters above sea level. You can actually see the ocean. We have a cool breeze that blows off the ocean and it slows down the growing, and it creates quite an ideal growing climate for this Arabica. For decades, what this farm would do was they'll begin harvesting their cherries at the end of autumn, all the way through winter until the beginning of spring, and sell all their cherries or their coffee as one lot. What they realized through data collection was that there was a huge difference in cup quality from the early harvest, where it was much warmer, to the late harvest, where it was much cooler. This gave them a 3-point increase in their in-cup quality and a significant price increase for the farmer. I love this graphic because this really shows the importance of quality to price. It's taken from the Specialty Coffee Transaction Guide and adapted, showing how the curve works with your quality versus the price that you'll get as a farmer. Today, with the assistance of AI, the analysis of data, and finding the right solutions, it is faster and easier than ever before. Machine learning tools are taking our data and converting it into practical, usable solutions. I've tried to include not only international companies as examples, but also local companies from India. I walked around the fair yesterday and there were some fascinating tech and data companies that are right here on your doorstep. Tekasik is a proof of concept being developed by the South India Coffee Company and Tengio as an AI tool. What this tool does is it sifts through all the open source data from the coffee board over many years and helps farmers to make the right decisions in choosing the correct varietals of plants for your region, the fertilizers, when to use them, and of course local diseases and pests. It's a proof of concept that you can try today. Coffee Krishi Taranga, in partnership with the Coffee Board of India, I'm sure the farmers all know this, is a fantastic mobile phone-based extension service offering advice on production, weather, price, and answering farmer questions. GeoFarmer is an app from CIAT that lets farmers ask questions and share agricultural best practices globally. The system offers extension services, and thanks to continuous interaction and exchange with the global coffee farming community. It is also free. Cropster Origin is part of the Cropster suite of software, and it covers the entire process from production to cup, targeting specialty coffee growers. It enables the recording and tracking of coffee bean lots, the monitoring of processing, and the storage environment, comparing the quality of different batches, and sharing this data with your customers. Cropin is a local Bengaluru company that has a full suite of products offering smart, data-driven solutions to farmers. In essence, an intelligent agricultural cloud. eCrop Origin allows coffee farmers to schedule and log their work on the farm, track the inventory, the harvests, processing, and connect with buyers. Handtech is a suite of products offering data-driven solutions and predictive intelligence, and they are also here at the event today. SenseGood, locally produced and extremely affordable color meters and moisture meters for farmers. mCultivar is a supply chain management technology system that has recently been launched and is also worth looking at. And finally, Farmatopia or CropSense, also local. It's a farmer network and information platform. However, technology doesn't just mean apps, AI, and electronic gadgets, but it's also part of the critical and excellent work done in genetic advances. Indian coffee farmers are extremely lucky to have the CCRI doing the excellent work they're doing with the world-class researchers that you have on your doorstep. The work is right here, it's local, and it's relevant. Advanced, location-specific varieties, better seed, disease and pest management, tolerance are all critical to farming and are also part of technology. World Coffee Research, they released a very interesting white paper only last week, where they state they can decrease the carbon footprint of coffee farming by 32% simply by planting new varieties through extra yield. Biotechnologies has a huge role in technology for coffee as well, from somatic embryogenesis, interspecies crossing, and even gene editing. Work has already been done through the CRISPR-Cas9 program to remove the gene that produces caffeine in coffee to produce a naturally caffeine-free coffee. What this means for the pest tolerance of the coffee plant, I have no idea. Apps have been developed that can identify coffee diseases through machine learning algorithms and pictures sent in. The Coffee Board of India is doing some great research into smart tech-assisted harvesting, similar to what we saw earlier. While Profile Prints is an AI-based platform that analyzes the green coffee characteristics such as taste, moisture, and density using molecular markers at molecular level. Another great advancement in the biological control of pests and advances is integrated pest management. I did some work on a project in Uganda where we used a drone that flew over a pretty large coffee farm, and using the sensors of the drone, the multispectral sensors, we discovered 2 quadrants where the Antestia bug was having a major impact on the coffee plants. Once we identified these quadrants on the farm, we purchased a box of single-sex predatory wasps from the biological company. We released these wasps in this quadrant, and they fed on the Antestia bug until the Antestia bug was no longer around, and then the wasps died. So it was a really big success, and it just shows what's going to be done in the future with biological advances. The use of drones brings us onto our next solution, precision agriculture. Imagine coffee fields equipped with sensors that monitor soil moisture, temperature, and humidity, all in real time. These data points are analyzed to determine the precise irrigation needs of each plant, reducing water wastage. Drones soar above the plantation, capturing high-resolution images that reveal insights that are not available to the naked human eye. These images are guiding farmers into identifying areas that require attention, pest infestations, and nutrition deficiencies. Precision agriculture is not just a buzzword, it's a revolution that is transforming how coffee is grown. It's the synergy of sensors, data analytics, and robots. This image shows a water stress map of a field taken from a drone. But not all technology has to be expensive and sometimes unattainable. It can be as simple as adding UV light tracers to your spray bottles to see if you're spraying even coverage and reaching all the areas of your plants. Or it can be as advanced as the next generation weed-killing robots. These are eliminating the need for chemicals, although as we can see from the picture, it's clearly not yet adapted to Indian farming conditions. This links us to IoT, or the Internet of Things, a network of physical objects that are made smart by embedding them with sensors and software. In coffee, we are seeing it already with our in-field sensors, letting us know when to irrigate, fertilize, or spray. Weather forecasting has also become hyper-local, letting us know in advance when to harvest or when to spray. Blockchain is an interesting one. We have seen how it can help authenticate the story and the journey of our bean. It's given us unprecedented transparency and traceability, and especially with, as mentioned earlier, the EUDR, quite important. In theory, it should empower producers and improve market access. However, we have seen many startups based on blockchain that have already come and gone. Blockchain will help to eradicate the possibility of fraud, but it is not an all-in-one solution. Farmer Connect is an IBM-based blockchain offering end-to-end traceability, focusing on ESG. Its Thank My Farmer app allows coffee drinkers to track their coffee back to origin and tip their farmer. Demetria empowers farmers with simple diagnostic tools connected to their smartphones, which analyze the taste profile of their coffee beans and manage their farm process. While Dimitri is a smart farming and supply chain management solution that tracks the movement of coffee from cultivation all the way through to distribution. Nanotechnology has huge potential for coffee growers in the near future, and not only in the form of miniature robots, which is what we think of when we think of nanotechnology. What I find really interesting here and practical to the farmers is the matter manipulation happening at near atomic level. For example, a herbicide encapsulated in nanoparticles allows a drastic reduction in concentration. In Brazil, this has been tested on coffee plantations already with the herbicide atrazine. Atrazine is usually put on the plantations at 2 kilograms per hectare dose, and they have reduced it to 200 grams per hectare, which is incredible. Finally, a few other solutions which may be relevant to the farmers here today. Ear for You from the German the German Coffee Association is an anonymous grievance mechanism tool to report any concerns you have regarding human rights, labor, environmental risks, or pollution, child labor as well. They even have an India-specific hotline. Satellite technology is being used very successfully to monitor deforestation, quickly assessing land change in the coffee sector. The highly debated EUDR specifically targets deforestation in the coffee, cocoa, beef, rubber, soy, and palm oil sectors. Companies have to definitively demonstrate that the production of their goods has no connection with deforestation, or they face fines of up to 4% of turnover. So that is why it is such a big talking topic today. Rainforest Alliance is also using satellite imagery to certify any deforestation, and if there was any deforestation post-2014, it is a rejection, an automatic rejection from the program. In conclusion, we have seen that there are many promising ag tech advances available for the coffee farmer. The truth is, we don't have more land to plant more coffee without cutting down the forests. We're sitting with a rising demand for coffee, less suitable land to grow it, and a decreasing yield outside of the big three. Adopting the right technologies is going to be the beacon that is going to help us get out of this mess. However, and this is important, don't believe all the hype about technology and gadgets that you can buy for your farm. Request actual evidence of prior adoption and success before you spend the money. Technology isn't life, and technology alone certainly isn't farming. Spend time in your fields, spend time with your plants without any electronic devices, never forgetting the basics of pruning, mulching, and scouting. 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and of course, coffee consumption. Let's continue to produce great coffee, adopting practical technologies that make us better farmers. I wanted to close by reading a very short story about envisioning a day on the coffee farm in 2030. It's borrowed and adapted by Angela Lovell, and of course, ChatGPT. Mahesh starts his day on the coffee farm with a sense of excitement. He pours himself a cup of freshly brewed coffee grown right here on his family coffee plantation and roasted on his smart roaster used for comparing notes with his customers. The morning has a gentle hum as autonomous drones equipped with advanced sensors glide gracefully above his coffee trees. These drones monitor the health of the plant with precision, detecting any signs of disease or stress. As he takes his first sip, Mahesh's watch pings with a notification from the farm's smart sensors. In the lush coffee fields under his pepper vines, the infield sensors and cameras in Quadrant 2 notify him that the majority of his cherries are ripe for picking at a Brix value of 22. His weather trackers show clear skies ahead, providing the green light for harvesting. Mahesh still uses manual harvesting, but his pickers are aided by an exoskeleton suit which assists in picking only the ripest coffee cherries with precision and care. He sends a command from his tablet to activate the driverless coffee hauler and cart, which begins trundling towards Quadrant 2. His real-time market data app assesses his competitors' conditions and advises expected pricing. At the processing facility, his daughter Prisha oversees the operation as cutting-edge AI algorithms sort the cherries before they are pulped using eco-friendly enzymes and fermented in bioreactors to optimize flavor. Mahesh recently released a box of predatory wasps to control a minor outbreak of stem borer and assesses the live feed from his drone to assess their success rate. But he is interrupted by an alert on his phone notifying him that the autonomous tractor in the field has broken down. The technician in Bengaluru is notified and remotely fixes the error and restarts the tractor system. As he sips another cup of coffee, Mahesh reflects on how he no longer worries as much about unpredictable weather conditions. Since adopting regenerative agricultural practices, his coffee farm has become more resilient. Healthy soil, biodiversity, and a thriving microbial community have made his farm less susceptible to the challenges that once plagued him. Mahesh was initially skeptical about regenerative agriculture, but he now knows it's the way to ensure long-term sustainability. At midday, he has a cupping session scheduled with his buyers, who dial in via hologram, and together they cup and share notes on the coffee roasted on their connected smart roasters. As the day draws to a close, he can't help but reflect on the incredible journey his family farm has come over time. Coffee farming in 2030 has not only embraced advanced technology, but has also redefined what it means to cultivate coffee sustainably. It's a harmonious blend of tradition and innovation, a testament to enjoying the simple pleasures of a cup of coffee. Thank you very much.
Mr. Dennison, kindly stay back for a moment, please. Yeah, kindly come back, please. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Charles Dennison. Before we leave you, it's my pleasure now to request Dr. Manoj Kumar Mishra, the Divisional Head of Tissue Culture and Biotechnology Coffee Board, to kindly come over and felicitate Dr. Manoj Kumar Mishra. Dr. Manoj Kumar Mishra will felicitate Mr. Charles Dennison. Thank you very much. And with this, we come to the end of this session. We'll straight away head to the next session. For the information of those who might have just come in, well, ladies and gentlemen, as you're all aware, the coffee guide was released today. It's available at an early bird offer of rupees 500, and you can just go to the merchandise and collect the same. And now,